Hello, everybody. Welcome to How to Launch Your Website with Confidence in 2020. We've got a great webinar planned for you today. What is our first webinar of the 2020 year? And we're all about helping you take your business to the next level. One of the things that we aspire to do at Show It is not just have a great website builder that gives you complete creative freedom, but we actually want to cultivate the freedom in every aspect, or creative freedom of every aspect of your life. And that includes winning in your business, making sure that your website is working for you, making sure that you are finding the ideal customers, that you're attracting the people that you want to hire you, that you are converting well, that you're getting people in the right way at the right time to your website. So we've put together a great webinar that we're going to be doing today. And it's a little bit different. What we're doing is we've asked you to submit your website, and then we have one of our expert Show It design partners who's going to give you some tips, some feedback, some critique on things that you're doing well and things that you could do to capitalize more on some different aspects of your website. And I'm super excited to have the Show It Designer of the Year, Miss Sarah Blodgett, with us today. Just such an incredible designer, incredible person, super encouraging, and just awesome to be around. If you've not gotten a chance to meet her or talk to her, you're going to get to in just a second. Let me talk a little bit about how today's webinar is going to be set up. In just a minute, I'm going to get out of the way. You didn't come to see me. You came to hear Sarah. And she's going to take a few sites that have been submitted and go over them and give you some good feedback. And hopefully, if this isn't your site, you'll still be able to gain some good insight despite the fact that you're not looking at your own. So make sure to take notes, even if this isn't your site specifically. So hopefully we'll make it through all the sites that have been submitted. We have quite a few, so I'm not sure that we'll be able to get to every single one today. And then hopefully towards the end, we'll have some time to answer a few questions. So if things pop up, make sure that you put them in the chat, the comments, and we'll try to get to them at the very end of our webinar today. Before we get going, I just want to introduce Sarah. Sarah started Digital Grace Design at 2017 with a mission of designing beautiful, refined websites for creative entrepreneurs and service providers who want to attract the right people and better serve their clients. Since then, she's had the honor of serving and collaborating with over 100 clients in a variety of creative industries, building brands and websites as unique as the people behind them. And also, as I said before, she's the Show It Designer of the Year for 2019, a very prestigious award here in the Show It universe. A few unknown things about Sarah. Before she started Digital Grace Design, she danced professionally in ballet companies and Broadway tours for 10 years. And she also has an identical twin. So we're actually not even sure that this is Sarah on the call today. It could be her identical twin. But Sarah, we are so happy to have you on the call with us, helping people out, giving them tips and tricks on making their website as good as it could possibly be. So welcome, Sarah.
Super excited to be here and so honored to be here as well. I met a lot of you guys at the Show It United conference this year and or last year doing website reviews in person. And to be honest, it's one of my favorite things about the conference, getting to connect with you guys and see what you're up to and share tips and tricks for how you can make your already beautiful website more strategic and better serve you. So when Chris reached out and asked if I would do this again live online, I was thrilled to do it. So thank you to all the brave people that submitted your websites to be reviewed here. I hope that you find these helpful for you personally. And like Chris said, if you didn't submit your website, I have high hopes that things that we'll talk about here will also be applicable to your website as well. So feel free to follow along. As Chris said, jot down questions in the comments below, and hopefully we'll get to those too. So without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. I'll let Chris let me know if for any reason he cannot see it. I'm going to shift us over here, and we should be good to go. So we are pretty much going in order of the folks that, oh, it looks like Chris is maybe sending me a note. I cannot see it, unfortunately. Let's see.
Yep, we're all good. Sorry about that.
Okay, no worries. Awesome. Thank you so much. So we're going to start off and go pretty much in the order that folks submitted their website. So the early birds get the worm here first, and we'll start with Christine Camarda Design. So right off the bat, her website to me looks super sleek, super kind of experiential as we're welcomed in with this black kind of patterned and textured background with her logo right off the bat. I think it makes a really bold statement, which is awesome. My first question though is, when I land on your site, I'm not totally sure what you do. And that I think is one of the biggest takeaways that I can share for anyone looking to improve their website is you don't want folks that land on your website to ever have to think too hard to figure out what you do and how you can help them. So I'd highly recommend above the fold on your website if possible. And when we're talking about above the fold, we're referring to before you scroll, what can you see? Share with me who you are, what you do, who you serve, and if you're location specific, where you serve them. This is super important for the folks that are landing on your website to know that they're in the right place and they should stick around if you can solve the problem that they're looking to solve. And two, it's great for SEO too to tell Google right off the bat what you do so that when folks are searching for things that you do, Google has a better chance of knowing that you do them and they can bring you up in search results better. This is also a great place to be super clear about what you do. I know sometimes our tendency is to get kind of cutesy around the verbiage that we use. We want it to sound enticing, but I would recommend that we go for clarity over like cuteness if and when possible. So let's talk about what that is. And I did a quick scroll of Christine's site before we hopped on. So I kind of already knew that she had this down here already. So be purposeful, thoughtful, and beautiful with you at the heart of every design. So I might even recommend pulling this copy here, branding and web design for all persons and businesses creative, and popping it somewhere up here. Put the logo there still. I think that's great to kind of introduce your brand and let people know who you are, but fill them in here right off the bat with what you do so that they know. So I would move that branding and web design for all persons, businesses, and businesses creative up here so that there's no question right off the bat. We're not wasting calories as to understanding what you do. I personally might recommend nixing this little canvas here because I don't know that it adds value to the experience for your folks right off the bat. And we really want to hook folks early on in their experience on our site. So let's get to the point. So I think you can remove this, maybe save that for a different page somewhere else. Love too that you've got a really, really clean and clear navigation. This is super key too. We don't want folks to have so many options that they're overwhelmed with where they could possibly go next. We always want to kind of guide folks through our user experience on our website. And part of the way that we can do that is by making our navigation options really clear, really specific. I love too that you've got the logo here on the left-hand side. We know that folks tend towards going on their navigation from left to right and looking at the header oftentimes in a Z-shaped pattern. So by having your logo here, that's always great for brand recognition. And then One little change that I might recommend doing for your navigation is perhaps shifting contact to be the far right option. It's often best to make the navigation option that's to the furthest right corner at the top be the number one goal of your website. What do you want folks to do when they land on your site? For you right now, because your shop isn't currently open, I would venture to guess that the number one thing that you want folks to do is to contact you, either for more information about when your shop will be open or how they can work with you on a one-on-one basis on a project now. We've sort of been trained in our use of the internet to look to that top right-hand corner for that number one action-oriented thing. So on Amazon, that's where our shopping cart is. That's often where a buy now button is. So let's play to that and use that training as internet users to our advantage and put that number one action-oriented thing there. So contact, shop, whatever the number one thing you want folks to do when they leave your website or before they leave your website, and that ideally brings you money. Always the goal, right? So we want to do business, we want to make money, we want to serve clients. So put that option in your top right-hand corner. Eventually, when your shop is open, I think you could totally move it back. But I think for now, if it were me, I would put contact here. Moving on down. Okay, cool. I think Christine does an amazing job with her copy in this first canvas, really making it about her site visitor, really making it about the client. This is a great spot on our website to kind of agitate the pain point or the problem that brought folks to our website in the first place. Lucky for us, most of the pain points that we're solving or the problems that we're solving are kind of first world problems. Like, this is a great problem to have. But we want to agitate those pain points so that we can sort of set ourselves up to present ourselves as the perfect solution to their problem. So Christine does a great job doing that here by speaking to her site visitors. You see this a lot with her use of you and your. Is anybody else here using you and your on your website? This is a brilliant thing to do. Let me know in the comments below if this is a strategy that you're using or that you want to try. So your laser focus on your business, fueled for success by passion and drive, and possibly caffeine. I think that's really cute as a way to kind of bring in personality. But that leaves little time, energy, resources to cultivate a powerful brand and website that converts and that you deserve. Your vision, your business, your art, whatever form it may take, Christine Camarda Design is here to anchor it in functional, practical, and beautiful design to grow and nourish your business. Yes, if I was landing on Christine's website, I think this would really connect with me because she does a great job of agitating why folks are looking to outsource their website design in the first place. You know, they've got so many other things that they're working on. They go, yeah, okay, that's my problem. Christine really gets me. And then she presents herself as the perfect solution to those problems. So Christine, brilliant. Keep that. I might add a call to action here, a button that sends folks probably to your services page for folks that are ready to get more information because already Christine was speaking their language. You might also consider adding a little bit more white space here before going into your next section. I find that white space is such a powerful tool for giving the brain some room to breathe and letting your content stand out and get the attention it deserves. So really on all of your canvases, make sure that there's proper space around your content so that people can focus on what's important. Moving on down, we've got a quote. I think that's always fun. Kind of encouraging folks that, you know, if they're ready to take this investment, jump right in. I think that's fun. And I think that having kind of this grayed out mood board in the back gives people a vibe for her type of work. Next up, we've got a brief about section. And I think that this is a brilliant choice too for your homepage. We know that site visitors psychologically oftentimes choose their service providers because they feel like they know, like, and trust the person as much as they do because of the services that they provide. So by having a photo of you looking at the camera, smiling, and making a great first impression, on your homepage, I think that's brilliant. It introduces you to folks right off the bat, and then they get a little glimpse into who you are, your vibe, what's important to you. And then she gives a brief intro into the services that she offers. I would make this want more button perhaps a little bit more pronounced. It's kind of tucked over here and hidden away. So I might also too make the verbiage a little bit more clear as to what they're going to expect to see when they click that link. Sometimes with our buttons, we have want more, learn more, and it's a little bit vague, which sometimes can be intimidating maybe for folks to click on the button. We want to know what we're going to get when we click on the button. So make it clear. Maybe it's, view our services, or maybe it's learn more about Christine. I'd say make button text really, really clear. Moving on down. Cool. So she's inviting you to get in touch. I think that's totally fine. I might even just add that somewhere up here instead of having this separate section, but I think that's a personal choice. Got another quote, always good. Okay, another brilliant choice for a homepage is sharing some testimonials right on the homepage. I know that a lot of times it can feel like a solid choice to have all of our testimonials and press on a specific page. And I think that that can serve us really, really well. But something that I like to do and recommend for folks is to sprinkle testimonials and reviews throughout your website. I think that it gives people kind of a constant flow of social proof, which is great in case folks don't end up going to that press and praise page or that testimonials page. They still get kind of that subconscious viewing of a testimonial in multiple places on your site. So I'd say have them on your homepage. I'd have them on your services page. Throughout your site is great. And testimonials and social proof, especially on the homepage, can be really, really helpful because, as consumers and buying from someone maybe that we've never met before, it can be intimidating to feel confident giving someone we don't know our money and investing. Especially as small business owners, we want to invest in someone that we feel like we can trust. And by having testimonials right off the bat, it essentially says someone has come before us and had a good experience. Someone just like me had a good experience working with Christine, so I feel better about starting that process. One thing that I would consider with this testimonial here is adding a picture that helps to kind of drive home the idea that, hey, that person's just like me. They look friendly. They look, like me. And then I might also recommend for this big block text, making it more in like a paragraph font, not all uppercase. I think that all uppercase can be really impactful for headers and headlines, but can feel a little bit like wham, bam if it's in a chunk. And I think it's just a little bit more easy to read when we've got a paragraph like that. So something to consider, Christine. And it looks like maybe you can click over to more or it'll scroll through. So that's great. Cool. So a great link over to Shop the Collection. Since this isn't live yet, I might write, coming soon, April 2020. Totally made that up. No idea when her templates are coming, but something to consider there, just so that folks don't think that the link is maybe broken. I think that's also potentially, especially important on a website designer's website, just so that, people are trusting us to build them websites. So we want to make sure that all of our links are effective and working and are clear. Love the mock-ups here. I think that's great to kind of introduce people to templates that you'll have. Price points too, so people can start saving. I think that's great. Here, I might minimize this white space a little bit and make it a little bit more condensed. Okay, cool. So get in touch. Always great to end a homepage or really any page with a clear call to action. We always want to think about our user's journey on our website and think about where we want them to go next. So for a homepage, this might be to go to your services page, or it might be to go to your contact page. I think either are brilliant choices depending on your needs. Since you say click below to get in touch, I might just say contact me here so that folks know what's going to happen when they click that button. Cool. Love that you've got navigation here in your footer as well. I might play with the balance of this a little bit more, having the icons here to click off to your social media kind of skewed. It doesn't feel quite balanced to me. So I would play with that a little bit, either leaving this more open, making these smaller and lining them up underneath your logo, something like that. And then perhaps making this down towards the bottom with like a copyright or something like that, just to make the feeling feel more intentional and balanced. But Christine, I think overall, you're doing such a great job, really speaking to your potential clients' pain points, presenting yourself as the solution, introducing them to you, giving them social proof with testimonials, and calling them to action. So I think overall, you're doing such a great job. And if you agree with me, maybe shoot Christine some words of encouragement in the comments below. Just to save ourselves time, I want to continue on. So Christine, sorry, I'm not going to take a look at your internal pages today, but feel free to reach out if you have any questions. Okay, so this is Michelle Oboes. Love this photo. Also love too that you've got your logo here right off the bat. You've positioned it in a way that makes it so it's not kind of overtaking your photo, but people have this kind of expansive photo right off the bat to see what you do. For your navigation, right now, let's see if this changes. I might make your navigation buttons a little bit bolder and a little bit of a stronger color. And they're blending in a little bit into your navigation bar for me. So something to play with there. Like with Christine's, I might also recommend moving that contact button to be your furthest right option, so that, again, we're using our kind of internet training that we've had for years in shopping online and using websites to look to that top right hand corner for that action oriented thing. So what's the number one thing we want people to do on your website? Probably contact you. So we'll put that in the top right hand corner. So we're not quite right above the fold, but I see right here we've got kind of some headers jumping right in. Awesome. So photographing heartfelt weddings for the dreamiest of couples worldwide. And then we've got some descriptors here. If it were me, I would flip the hierarchy or size of these pieces of text. So I would put genuine, timeless fun below or smaller and make photographing heartfelt weddings for the dreamiest of couples worldwide bigger, because that's what you do, and that's how you serve folks. And again, we want to make that abundantly clear right off the bat so that folks know that they're in the right place if that's what they're looking for. Another thing I might consider adding is sharing where you're located. I'm guessing that maybe you do destination wedding photography, which is great. But for folks that live in your area, I might add that kind of location into this line too. So dreamiest of couples, based in wherever you are and shooting worldwide, something like that. Okay. Cool. So we've got some photos here. Your photos are stunning. Love these. Cool. These might be great spots to, oh, I clicked it and it took me somewhere. Okay, cool. So these will be links. Awesome. That answered my question. I was going to say these would be great spots to put links to other pages on your website. So maybe about, services, and contact, if folks were ready to take the leap, or about services and portfolio, something like that. So maybe that's already on your agenda. And if not, perhaps consider taking out the click action for these so that if folks click just like I did, they won't go to a blank page or a coming soon page. Okay, features. This is a great thing similar to having testimonials on your homepage, because again, it gives that sense of social proof that makes people feel more confident saying, yes, Michelle is a pro. I can trust her to take my pictures. So that's great. I might add some more white space above and below, just so that these features and kind of buttons have some space to breathe. Or I suppose you could make these a little bit smaller just to create more air too. Also gorgeous ring detail shot. Oh, Michelle, I met you at United. That's super fun. So that's always great. This is a fantastic picture of you, and a perfect example of what we were talking about on Christine's site, where you want to have a picture of you smiling happy on your front page, giving great eye contact, to serve the same thing as if you were giving a first impression in person. So perfect picture. In terms of the border, I might make it a little bit more even and intentional, sort of like in proportion with the dimensions of your photo so that it feels like an even frame. Totally a personal choice though. Cool. I would also add a little bit more space between each of the bodies of text here, just to kind of separate them out. We know that website visitors today are very much site skimmers. If you're guilty of that, just like me, raise your hand, comment in the comments. We're totally a society of site skimmers. So if you are not alone. But because of that, we really want to give folks some space between our bodies of text so that they can process the information that they're reading. And you might consider too, if there's like headers in there that are really important to driving home what you do and how you can serve folks, to put those in a punched out font or a bolded font or something like that, maybe a different colored font to make it jump out so that if they are skimming, they still see that information. Yeah, and that'll also help you to fill up the space a little bit. You might also make the margins of your text a little bit narrower so that there's a little bit of space on the borders here. I'm pointing at the screen, which of course isn't helping you very much. Okay, and we're jumping right into our contact form. I think it's great to have a contact form on our homepage. I think that it gives folks an opportunity to reach out right off the bat if they're ready. So totally cool with me. I'm guessing that this will have an Instagram feed here. If you have, if you need a recommendation for how to do that, Light Widget is a great option. Just do choose to pay the $10 for the one-time upgrade, because then it will work with your HTTPS secure SSL website. So that certification that gives you that lock and makes your information secure on your website, which you definitely want. It's free. If you don't yet have it, ask Show It. They'll add it to your site for free. Brilliant. They're the best. But you'll want to have an Instagram widget that supports that SSL certification, and Light Widget's $10 upgrade version is a perfect choice. So you can definitely embed that in and it will update for you. Something that I think Michelle does brilliantly in this footer is she lists her locations. So always great. If folks land on your site, not on your homepage, it's great to have where you're located in that footer so that people can always have access to that information. And she so brilliantly puts her email in the footer. Raise your hand if you have your email in your footer or on your contact page or somewhere. Put it in the comments. If it's not there, go fix it on your website now. The number of times I see websites that don't have an email or a way to contact you other than the contact form on your website is a lot. And I think that that can be a missed opportunity for folks that maybe just have a question and aren't quite ready to fill out your contact form, or for whatever reason prefer to email you directly versus a contact form. I think that we want to make it as easy as possible for folks to get in touch with us. So brilliant job, Michelle, in having that there. I just want to hop over to, okay, cool. So it looks like right now, Michelle, your website is a single page scrolling website. I think that's great. And I think that those can serve us really, really well. Over time, you might consider building out some other pages on your site just to give you a little bit more content for SEO purposes and for users that visit your website to understand your services and how it works. And if you want to have pricing information, Google relies heavily on written content, the words on our website, to understand what we do. So we want to make sure that there's enough of that to tell Google what we do so that, again, they can ideally bring us up in search results when we're the perfect search result for someone searching for us. So let's help Google help us. Always a good thing. So by having multiple pages with quality content on it, it just makes it that much easier for Google to understand what we do. Okay, SEO aside. Now, for the folks that are landing on your website, that added information clearly shared on multiple pages can do wonders for allowing folks to understand how your services work, what the steps are to work with you, what your packages typically include, that sort of thing, so that it's that much easier for them to say, yes, Michelle is my girl. I'm going to reach out to her because she seems to have all the answers and is the perfect solution to my problem. So you might consider adding an info page that covers all of those details. I think that will serve you really well for folks wanting to hire you and for folks searching for you that need Google's help to have you show up in search results. So in the future, perhaps consider adding some additional pages on your website. Just for the sake of time, I'm going to keep on rolling, but thank you so much, Michelle, and so fun to see your face pop up. Okay, Brett Morgan wedding films. Ooh, I love when people use Show It for videography and for wedding films. Okay, cool. So first thing, with your navigation, I'm going to move this down a little bit. Going to sound like a broken record, but again, I'd probably move your contact to the far right corner. And also, because you have a full navigation bar, if I were you, I would probably just remove this menu icon. I don't think that you really need it because since this is sticky to the top, I don't know that it adds value to have two navigation bars. I know this is fun and it pops out from the side, but I think pick one or the other would be a great choice for you. Yeah, I think that'll be good. Additionally, okay, so Brett does an amazing job of sharing what she does right off the bat by sharing wedding films made from the heart. Love that. We know right away that she does wedding films. And then adventure awaits. So it makes me think, okay, she's like an adventure person. She loves folks that are going to do weddings in the forest or in the desert. And I think that feels on brand. If it were me, I might make wedding films from the heart the bigger text and have adventure awaits be below it in this smaller text because we want the most important information to stand out. And for me, I think wedding films from the heart is more important than adventure awaits. So something to consider there. I might also, so wedding films made from the heart, I'd make bigger. And then you might say adventure awaits. Wedding or based in wherever you're based and shooting worldwide, or wedding films from the heart based in wherever you are, ready to adventure worldwide. Something like that, so that we know what you do, where you're located, get kind of a vibe for how you can help us. But already doing a brilliant job by having this up here, and love this photo. Awesome. So we're being introduced right off the bat to your films, and I think that's great. Something you might even consider is turning this into like a background video. I think that could be super cool and experiential, especially based on what you do, because you do make films. You're already an expert. You know the techie stuff. Show It has a super helpful help document in their help document library that talks about the file type and size that you need in order to make background videos that play in the background. So go check that out. I think that'll help you, and you'll know exactly what all of those technical terms mean for film. So kudos to you, Brett. But I think that could be really impactful to have up here, just have that going from the start. Okay, awesome. So you've got ways for people to kind of choose their own adventure, jump off to their pages. Your photos are stunning, which leads me to wonder, are you also a photographer or do you partner with folks? Either is awesome. Because this is one long column, I might recommend doing like a stagger, like meet me, see my work, and then whatever this third one is, I think could be great. Okay, awesome. And then you end with a really strong call to action. Love this, Brett. You're nailing that part. Something that I would recommend for your homepage, just for both the user experience and for SEO, is adding in a bit more text. As we mentioned in one of the previous reviews, Google relies super heavily on text to understand what you do, what your services are, how you help people, where you're located. So we want to give them as much helpful quality information as possible so that they can understand what we do and bring us up more effectively in search results. So I would talk a little bit more about those things. I think that you might also benefit from doing what we talked about in Christine's video, where she does a really great job of speaking to her potential clients' pain points and why they ended up on her website in the first place. Because, when we're looking for service providers, we're looking for someone to solve a particular problem. And for you, folks are looking for someone to document their wedding day so that they can relive it for years to come and get to see and feel exactly what happened in a way that photographers don't kill me, in a way that you can't maybe with just handheld photos or photos on your wall. You want to experience it and relive it in action. I love you, photographers, don't kill me. But something like that. So you might start out by, speaking to, you're so excited about being engaged to the love of your life and planning out this incredible celebration. But you're worried that the day will go so fast, and you want to make sure that you can remember and re-experience all those details and important moments exactly like that, exactly like they happened. Kind of agitating the pain points of, this is a big deal and this is a big day, and you want to be able to re-experience it, and maybe even see those moments that you didn't see happen in person, but Brett happened to capture while she was filming your special day. So speaking to that kind of a thing, the worries that folks are experiencing when they're, wanting to hire a wedding videographer. And then in talking about those and agitating those pain points, you then are the perfect solution. You're like, yeah, I get that those are your worries. And this is why I do what I do. I document your wedding day so that you can relive all of those important moments, and that you can, share this celebration with your children and grandchildren for years to come. Something like that. Really kind of speak to the heart there. I think that would be a great addition, maybe up here, maybe instead of or in addition to this film, especially if you turn this into video. Just a thought. Love that you've got this fun, loving picture of you here. You might decide to kind of do more information and give just like a brief introduction to who you are. I think that could be great. And then I think that going to see your work and such are perfect. And then let's set up a call. Super clear. I know exactly what I'm doing. And you're just making it really easy for me to reach out to you and hire you. Love that your Instagram feed cycles through. I think that especially given that you have a very movement-oriented industry, I think that lends itself well. Love this recently featured. It does a great job of adding a little bit of that social proof. That's another thing you might consider adding somewhere on your homepage, maybe above your call to action here, so that folks can read testimonials from people that have used your services that loved you, and then you say, let's set up a call, and they're like, heck yeah, these reviews sound amazing. So maybe consider adding them there. Personally, I would highlight all of these navigation options and center them. If you haven't yet found Showit's kind of like multi-element alignment tool, this might blow your mind. It took me like 6 months to find it, and when I did, it was such a godsend. If you highlight across multiple things like that, a fun menu will pop up on the right-hand side, and you can center all of the elements together to the center, or to the center vertically, or evenly distribute things. It's amazing. I'm not just talking about if you click on like nav here. I'm just going to show you. Hopefully you can see this. Welcome to the back end of my website. Let's say I wanted to make sure that all of these pieces of text are centered to each other. I can just hold my mouse over all of them. And then we've got this fun alignment tool over here that allows me to align them centered in the middle, horizontally centered, align them to each other. Maybe I want them to all be aligned on the left, or, do that. I'm going to hit undo because I don't want to do that. center them to each other. You can distribute them in threes. This is great if you've got, let's say, like a row of 3 photos, or distribute them evenly vertically. So again, to do that, you just drag your mouse over the things that you want to be centered, and you get this fun menu. So if this is new to you, I hope that it blew your mind as much as it did mine. And if you already knew that, congratulations, you're a pro. So again, just like Michelle, I think Brett is brilliant to have her contact information down here, and she has set it to click to email her directly. So adding that click action is brilliant. I think it's great to have where you're located here, and also to have this wedding and elopement videography. If it were me, I might shift this up a little bit and put wedding and elopement videography above your location, or make it span across. This spacing feels a little bit off to me, but that's something that you can definitely play with. So again, just for time, I'm going to hop on over to our next review. Okay, Kelly's Place. I love this photo. I think it's so full of life, and I think that it makes me really intrigued as to what you do. So brilliant choice there. The one thing that I would recommend adding to this canvas is, this is an awesome picture, but I don't know what I'm getting myself into. So tell us, before we start scrolling, maybe overlay across the top or have like a box over here or something. Tell me who you are, what you do, what I'm going to expect to see on your website, so that I know right off the bat what I'm, as a user, getting myself into. And you're telling Google also, what your website is about. So love this photo, so much fun. Tell me who you are and what you do. Okay, brilliant. Love the cleanliness of your navigation. It looks like you're primarily a blogger, so I think that's perfect. Something that is definitely not a hard and fast rule, but is sort of a personal preference of mine, and it may not apply to everyone. So take this with a grain of salt. I personally don't always love having social media icons in headers, whether they're here, like below your picture, or whether they're at the top. Let me tell you why. So with having your social media icons in the header, it gives people an opportunity right off the bat to leave your website. Even if you have them set up to open in a new tab or a new window, which if you're going to have them, I think that's the right choice. But ideally, we want to keep people on our website as long as possible so that they can explore our content, get to know us better, stick around a while, bookmark our page, contact us, hire us, all of the above. And it's also really important for SEO to keep them on our website as long as possible, because Google likes it if we have people stay a while. They're like, oh, people really enjoy this person's content. We should reward them and send more people to your website. So both for folks that are trying to get clients from their website, maybe not quite as applicable for Kelly's blog, but just a general thing that I think a lot of us can think about is, do we want to send people away right off the bat? And two, is that supporting our client getting potential and our SEO? So something to consider. Highly recommend having your social media icons on your website. I think the footer is a great spot for those. So something to consider. Again, that's a personal preference thing. And for you, it might make sense, but I think for a lot of people, it's not our best choice. So Kelly, something for you to consider. You might put contact here. You might just have home and blog. I think that's brilliant. Kelly, it makes such sense to me that you're a blogger, because I read through this earlier and I love it. I think it really does a great job of introducing you to the folks that land on your site, in sharing a smidge about you. If anyone is a Southerner or a New Englander or a mom, they will get you, probably. And if they're not, they'll at least have a context for who you are. And then it introduces people to, how this blog got started and why you're here. One thing that you might consider doing is you have italicized and bolded some of your text, which I think is great for drawing the eye there. If it's something that's really important, consider punching it out even further with like a mini header or a subheader, just to break it up a little bit for those folks that are skimming. I also think that you've done a really nice job, one, pairing it with this photo that's like, oh, I'm going to be friends with Kelly. She seems super personable. I want to hear what she has to say. But also in making the font a readable size. I think that that's really important too, especially as a blogger. I might add a little bit more white space down here, just so that there's a little bit of a break before that next section. Love this. I really like your color palette. This blue is awesome. And I think blending it with the neutrals and the whites just feels really like homey and clean and crisp. So brilliant choices there. Also think that I think this is a tonic template, suits you nicely. So kudos to you for choosing that. In terms of formatting here, I would put this "what I wish I knew" on this same line. I think that makes sense for you. So something to consider there. And then again, giving you a little bit more white space. It'll be gray space here, but air around your text I think will be nice too. Same thing goes here. This I haven't watched, but I'm excited too. I think you do a really great job of setting yourself up and creating intrigue. So great work. I'm also worried about what's happening in that video. So think it's fun to add a little bit of personality. It kind of gives people some views into perhaps your values by adding quotes. Something I did notice just from a formatting perspective is you'll want to make sure that your header and your name, the person you're quoting, there's enough space for your quotes here. Some of them there are and some of them there aren't. So just double check that. And I think that that's something that will serve a lot of people that are using multiple Canvas views, just like Kelly is, whether it's for testimonials or whether it's for quotes like this or products you love or fun facts about you on your homepage. I think that just make sure that the formatting looks just as good on all Canvas views as it does on the first one. Super small tidbit, I would maybe make these arrows a little bit smaller. I think that it'll make your quotes stand out a little bit more. And I think that folks will still be able to see your arrows. So I think that's great. Love this. Okay, cool. So it looks like this is like an email list opt-in. I think that's brilliant to have an email list opt-in, and I would recommend that probably everyone here create an email list opt-in for their homepage, and you can have it in your footer or sprinkled throughout your website. Email list opt-ins are brilliant ways to stay current and top of mind for people that landed on your website. For Kelly's audience, it might just be to let them know, favorite recipes or favorite stories or when she's posted a new blog. But if you're a service provider, say like a wedding photographer or a website designer or anything like that, that folks are hiring you for your services, having an email list can be super effective for converting folks that are not ready to say yes in a moment the first time they land on your website. You can think of this sort of like dating. If you went on a first date and you were like entertaining the idea of this person as a potential life partner, that's what a first date is for. You're like, do I like this person? Do I want to stick around? Do I want to hang out with them? If they asked you to marry them on your first date, you would probably say, no, I'm not ready for that. So this is a great kind of way to date someone that landed on your website. By having an email list, it allows you to send them helpful content and valuable content that relates to the phase of life that they're in. So maybe getting a new website, or maybe they're getting married, or whatever it is. send them helpful tips periodically so that they then associate Kelly or Christine or Michelle or whomever with being that wedding photographer or that website designer that's just really helpful. And if she's giving me all of this valuable content for free, whew, imagine what she would give me if she was working with me. So for folks that aren't ready to say yes the first time that they land on your website, having an email list like this is a brilliant way to nurture those relationships and over time turn those maybes into yeses. One thing, so brilliant job, Kelly, in setting that example by having this here. One thing that I would recommend doing or adjusting is perhaps being more specific as to what folks are initially signing up for. Our inboxes are bombarded with so many emails a day. Comment below if you have an email inbox every day of 50 random emails. Me, absolutely. But because of that, we're sort of trained now to be very self-conscious about who we give our emails to. So it's often more enticing to get folks to give us their email and sign up for our newsletter or sign up for our list if they're getting something of great and helpful value right off the bat. If someone says, sign up for our newsletter, we don't always want to say yes to that because we don't really know what we're signing up for. So if you're a wedding photographer, maybe it's, 10 tips to have the best engagement shoot ever. Or if you're a wedding planner, maybe it's, the 10 things you don't want to forget about in planning your wedding. Something like that. And then you can send them that passive PDF. You can automate it. You don't have to touch it. It'll just send it out. And then you can nurture that relationship over time. But try and entice them to sign up with something of value that they're going to find really helpful in whatever season of life that they're in. And then you can nurture that relationship over time. So brilliant job, Kelly, in having this. I would just tell folks a little more clearly what they're going to get and perhaps give them something at the get-go to entice them to sign up for that newsletter. Cool. Great. Love this. Awesome. This alignment seems a little bit off, so just play with that. And then it looks like the original template photos were by Jenna Kutcher, which you can see over here in the corner when I hover it over it. So just make sure if you're going to change it to photos by Megan, maybe give her a link or take out the click action so that, if people click it, they're not going to Jenna's website. Not that Jenna won't be grateful, but if they're looking for Megan to photograph their life, they might be surprised when they land on Jenna's site. And I think that this is something that applies to a lot of folks that use templates is if you change the byline in the footer, let's say you bought, a tonic template like this, but you change it to copyright Kelly's Place, something like that. You might consider making sure that it's linked to the right person, or maybe it doesn't need to be linked depending on what the link is. Just double check those things. Also think it's brilliant to have the arrow back up to the top. Great for user experience, especially for mobile. So something to consider there. So Kelly, love what you're doing. Keep up the good work and just add in a couple of those little tweaks. So,
hey, Sarah, I'm wondering if we, before our time's run out, if we would have time for just a few questions, if that's okay.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Awesome. So we've had one just come in and want to encourage everybody. If you've got a question, we've got a few minutes to answer them. So make sure to type those into the chat. So one from Hank, he says, where's the best place to put my call to action on my website? So I'm wondering if you could talk about what a call to action is and some strategy behind it.
Yeah, that's a great question, Hank. So a call to action for anyone that's not sure what that means is inviting someone on your website to do something. For a lot of service providers, it's to contact you. It may also be a button anywhere on your site that invites them to go to a different page on your site. You just want them to do something. On your homepage, I think that there's often a purpose to having multiple calls to action throughout your website or throughout your homepage. Because at that point on your homepage, folks' goals might be varied. They might still want to know a little bit more about you. They might want to know about your services. They might want to know how to contact you. So I would put calls to action respective to the canvases or information chunks on their page. So if, let's say, on your homepage you have your header, you've got a section that speaks to someone's pain points and how you can solve them, you've got a brief about section. Under that brief about section, add in a call to action to go to your about page to learn more. If you've got descriptions of your services on your homepage, that's a great spot to put a call to action to go to your services page to learn more. If you've got, typically speaking, on your homepage at the bottom, I would always make sure that there's a call to action either to your services page or your contact page, maybe both. And then on pretty much every page of your website, I would have a call to action towards the bottom before your footer that leads them to wherever you want them to go next on their user journey. So if they landed on your about page, where do you want them to go next? Probably your service page or your contact page. Something to think about. If you've driven them to your services page, you're probably going to want them to go to your contact page next. They've reviewed your services, they're interested. What do you want them to do next? Reach out to you. So for that, I'd recommend having it at the bottom of your services page before your footer. But depending on how long your services page is, you might have it sprinkled, in other places on your services page too, so that if folks are ready to take action before they get to your footer, they can. So I'd say definitely make sure to have a call to action on every page and just think about where you want them to go next. A lot of times it's your services page or your contact page. Does that make sense?
Yep, that's perfect. Thank you so much. One more question that just came in, and then I'm afraid this will be all that we have time for. Katrina says, how do you add more white space as you suggested? I'm new to Show It. And what are your thoughts of landing pages for giveaways or specials?
Yeah, two great questions. I think that landing pages for giveaways or specials are brilliant for those particular purposes. They're really easy to send people to, let's say, from your Instagram landing page or something like that, to really clearly lay out, the rules of the giveaway and or the details of the offer. So I think that those are great for that purpose. A lot of times folks don't choose to have navigation on those pages because they want people to really stay on those pages. I think that's great. But yeah, landing pages, I think in general are effective. In terms of how to add white space, that's a great question. So let me pop back into Show It. Okay, so let's say my template only gave me enough space for that. Let's just say that in general. So if you just need space at the bottom of a canvas, and if we're new to Show It, our website as a whole is made up of pages, homepage, about page, etc. And each page is made up of building blocks, essentially, that we call canvases. So like this intro section before this dotted line is a canvas, or this header block here is a canvas. So in terms of hierarchy, site, page, canvas. So if we're going to make our canvas longer to add more white space, all you have to do is drag it until it gives you more space below all of the elements on that canvas. So that's the easy part. If you find that you need more space above, I would recommend making that canvas longer, just in general, and then using that kind of highlight everything thing that I showed you earlier. You're going to highlight all of the elements in your canvas. Let me move this. And we're going to align it to the canvas in center for this particular example, because I think I want it in the middle of my canvas in this particular case. So now by doing that, we've added more white space to the top and to the bottom. This particular one doesn't look centered just because I do have this extra box that flows into it. So take that with a grain of salt. But to add white space to the top and the bottom, make the canvas longer, select all of the items, and then center them to the canvas using that tool that I just showed you. One thing to note, any change that you make on desktop, always remember to do it on mobile too. I see that forgotten a lot, and you're not alone, trust me. But make sure that whatever changes you make on desktop, that you make sure it looks just as lovely on mobile.
Great. Thank you so much, Sarah, for being on this webinar with us. I know I've learned a ton, and I'm sure everybody watching has. So thanks again.
Yeah, my pleasure. It's been really fun, and I'm sorry we didn't get through more, but sometimes we just get on a roll. So hopefully we'll do this again.
Absolutely. Hey, just wanted to thank you for joining us. If this was of value to you, if you appreciated this, I just want to encourage you to share it with friends or people that might appreciate it as well. If you'd like to know more about Sarah and what she does, please visit digitalgracedesign.com, where you can contact her, read her blog, learn more about what she does as a web designer. And as always, we here at Show It are here to help you figure out how to make your website the best that it possibly can be. So stay tuned for our next webinar. We're going to have one coming up really soon where we'll do something very similar to what we've done here today, going through websites, critiquing and giving feedback. So really appreciate all of you coming out. And thanks again to Sarah. We will see you soon.